What's going on, everyone? It's Sean with another Tesla video, and in this one I'm going to be answering your questions as a way to celebrate me crossing over 100,000 miles in my Tesla. What is that in kilometers, you ask? 161,000 kilometers, or kilometers. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. Before I do that, though, I just want to say that I will timestamp each of these questions. So if you want to read through and only watch the parts of the video that interest you, you can do that in the video description, and I'll make sure and timestamp each of the questions that come through from my fantastic viewers. Let's dive in. All right, so the first one, I'm going to go bottom up, actually. Ryan Peters, have you ever run into an issue charging on a trip in which you already planned on charging? The answer is no, for two reasons. One, I haven't really gone on any long trips. I live in Denver. I've gone from Denver to Breckenridge, which is a couple of hours. I've gone from Denver to Vail, which is about the same, couple of hours. I've gone from Denver to Buena Vista area. That one was the most sketchy. I had 21-inch wheels at the time, the turbines, and it was cold outside, like almost freezing, and was a little bit concerned that we wouldn't make it, actually. But I've never had any issues with there being no stalls available to charge. I primarily drive around Denver, and I'm close enough to my house if I really needed something. I actually have been in a couple situations where I've been almost, where I've just about been empty and had to pull up the PlugShare app and find, like there was one instance where I had, you know, maybe 5 miles left. I didn't have enough range to get to a Supercharger, and so I had to stop at one of the universities here in town, Denver University, and use one of their level 1 charging stalls, or maybe as a level 2. Yeah, level 2 charging stalls. The good news, it was free. That got me to another charger at a hotel. It was a bit faster, and then I got enough to drive to a Supercharger. So fortunately here in Colorado, there's not so many Teslas that there's no spots. In fact, you can see here I'm at the Park Meadows Supercharger, and I'm the only one, no one else here, of the 10 stalls. Next question, how long does a car wrap last and how much? That's actually a really good question. This is from Gene Like Denim. I have no clue because I've never priced it out. I have some friends who are part of the Denver Tesla Club who've gotten their cars wrapped, and I've never asked. It's just something that I've thought about recently. So I don't know how long it lasts, and I don't know how much it costs, but maybe that's something that I can look into. All right, John Browning says, like your videos. Thank you, John. I'm not a fan of the D-chrome flat color look. I think it looks too military. What year is your Model S? It's a 2013. When did you purchase it? I purchased it September of 2016. Why such high mileage? That's actually a really great question. I've been thinking about answering this one. I've actually been thinking about doing a separate video for this, but the reason why I drive so much is, number one, I'm in real estate, and I drive kind of up and down Colorado's Front Range, which is, you know, as far south as an hour, as far north as an hour, and then I also do some Uber driving kind of on the side. Well, kind of I mix it in. Sometimes I'll do it as a way to network and meet new potential clients for real estate. Other times I'll be coming back from a meeting, maybe an hour south of here in Colorado Springs, and driving back up to Denver, and I'll log into Uber and try and catch a ride and make the most of my time, so that my time in the car is not wasted. So that's why I drive so much. Most of it, though, is spent driving for real estate. All right, David Campbell. Oh, did I answer all your questions? Back to John's. One more question. Can you approximate the saving versus a gas-powered economy vehicle? I actually did a video on this, John, and what should I do? I'll put this, I may have replied. I haven't replied yet, but I'll reply to you in your comment. I did a video on this at 12 months of ownership, which will probably give you a nice start, and then if you have further questions, you can let me know. All right, David Campbell, another question from you. I think the matte black would be nice on your car. My question is, over the lifetime of your car, what's the overall maintenance cost, monthly energy costs, and options you wish you had on your Tesla? If you could get a bigger battery, which option would you choose? Well, I'll start with the last question first, David. You know what I would choose. I would choose the biggest possible one at the moment, which is the 100. I want as much range as possible. I may do the Model 3 instead because it's less expensive for almost the same amount of range. If Tesla ends up updating their battery packs for their S and the X, I may consider doing that. Like, let's say Tesla, which I actually, my theory is in 2018 they're going to make an update to S and X to make a bigger distinction between those two and the Model 3. I think that maybe they'll up it to, you know, 150 kilowatt hour battery pack. They haven't made an update to the battery packs in over a year, so I think they're due. What's the overall maintenance cost? Overall maintenance cost, it's in my video that I did at 12 months of ownership, but it's about $120, $125 a month. I'm driving 5,000 miles a month. Options you wish you had on your Tesla. I'd like the air suspension. I'll probably do that next time. I wish I had autopilot as well. That would be nice. My car doesn't have it currently. And the bigger battery pack. I need as many miles as possible. All right. Leif, thank you for your questions. All right. Battery degradation. So this is the first question I've gotten about battery degradation, and I tested this out a couple of days ago. So to date, at 100,000 miles, I've seen 4.5% battery degradation. And let me just kind of add a note here. There's many ways to test this out. The most simple way is to test out charge it up to 100% on rated range, and then measure that from when you first got it till that particular point. Another way to measure it is just to drive it and see how many kilowatt hours, how many kilowatts you actually get out of that battery pack. Kilowatt hours, yeah, whatever. You get my point. So I've seen about 4.5%, and I supercharge at least once a day. It really varies. I've actually kind of pulled back on charging to 100% every day, and I have been doing 90%. However, when I switched to the Arachnid wheels, the 21-inch, I noticed that my range was not as great, and so I have been this week and last week and a half, I've been charging to 100% lately. So 4.5% battery degradation is what I've got, Leif. All right, so you ask another question here. I have a 1 year and 12,000 miles on my Model S 90D. I'm thinking of skipping the 1 year maintenance and instead going on to the 2 year, which is more significant work. What do you think? I did a video on this as well, where I do think that, well, here's two things. So yeah, the 1 year annual maintenance I think is a little bit silly if everything is working fine in your car. What I've seen Tesla do when you take that in for annual maintenance is if they see anything else that's wrong with the car that's not included in the maintenance, they'll fix that as well in most cases. So if there's nothing wrong with your car at 1 year, I would skip the 1 year and wait until the 2 year. If there are some things that you want fixed and it's out of warranty, in this case you've only had 12,000 miles, so you're in warranty, I would say totally skip it. For those people that are taking it in for an annual service and they're out of their 50,000 mile warranty or whatever it is, I would say keep on to that. And if you've got some things that you want fixed, regardless of whether it's the 1 year or 2 year or 4 year, I would take it in, because Tesla typically fixes those things that need to be fixed, even though it's just in for an annual maintenance. They typically will do it for free. All right, Alan Mclemore, is this the original battery on the car? Yes, it is. How many cycles have you charged? I'm not actually quite sure. I don't keep track, but I can tell you that I charge at least once a day on a trickle charge at home overnight. And then I'm charging at least once a day at the Supercharger, and sometimes more than that. Have you noticed any diminution in the battery range at full charge? What is the range now as opposed to when you got the car? So when I got the car, I bought it used. It had 16,000 miles on it. It was a 2013, and I bought it in 2016. When I charged it to full, it charged to 201 miles. Now it charges to 192 miles. How's the battery degradation? Asks 306 NWE, 4.5%, as I mentioned before. Dale H, curious on how the interior has held up. The condition of the seats, steering wheel, interior handle, where you grab. Have you had extra noises or rattles over the time you have been driving it? Awesome. Great question. It's dark, so I'm going to see... Let's see. How can I do this? So how have things held up? So I would say that this little area here, like the armrest, where I rest my arm when I'm driving, is holding up just fine. I'm guessing... so this actually feels like... Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so this actually feels like it's leather. However, this section here that's on the, what is this, the B-pillar, has been replaced with a faux leather. But all the others are real leather. So I think that when Tesla was reconditioning this, they replaced this because it had worn so much from the previous owner, which is strange, I think. This area here, the door handle that I use to shut the door, there are some nicks. I wish I could show you this. I'm trying to think if I have like another flashlight. It's just dark in here, so maybe if I hold my laptop up. Yeah, you're not going to really be able to see that. Let me see if I can. Boom. Okay. So I can't even see. Let's see. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can tell, but there are some nicks along here from the ring touching that. I don't know if that's me or my wife or both of us, but you can see some nicks along there for sure. No major dings. Steering wheel. Steering wheel is holding up, I would say, pretty well. There's some minor scratches on the bottom here. But overall, there's no ripping, there's no tearing. There's that scratch. There's a scratch on the steering wheel right there. Overall, it's holding up very well along the edges. It's not wearing. I don't think that this is real leather. I think this is a faux leather, so I expect for that to wear pretty well. But it does feel pretty smooth up here where my hands are mostly when I drive. Seats. I did a video on this one. So if you want to check that one out, you can. The seats are holding up very, very well. No tears, no rips in the driver's seat. There is one rip. I wonder if I can turn on all the lights here. Boom. There is one rip that is... Oh, there goes my computer. That's back here. But that's pretty much it. And there is some wear that's in this corner as people get into the car, but it hasn't broken yet. The leather has not broke. What else? Headliner, it's relatively in good shape. I mean, it looks like there's some black stuff right there, which can be cleaned. I did have some issues with the chrome applique that runs over the doors, the two doors. The seal went bad, and I got water ingress on the headliner over my right-hand shoulder in the back seats, and so I had to have that replaced. Noises. There currently is only one noise when I drive. Maybe I should just leave the light on. I think it's coming from this door here. I think it's fixable. I just have to take off the door panel, and maybe something's just come loose. Maybe something is just rattle. It's a rattle. It's not a squeak. It's a rattle. It feels like maybe something that's made of plastic is it's just hitting something. I don't know if you can hear this noise. Sounds like a little bird chirping, but the air conditioner makes this real chirping noise. Let me see if I can put it up here. Do you hear that? Yeah, real light. It's done it since I've got the car, and it hasn't bothered me enough to take it in and get it fixed. All right, next question from AMJR. Wrap feedback. Just my opinion. Definitely not a good idea unless you are a 19-year-old gearhead regarding the wrap, the mat wrap. Okay, so questions from AMJR. Has your health suffered from sitting in a car that many hours throughout the year? I sit in a car 80 minutes each weekday for my commute, and I'm looking forward to reducing more. Congrats on owning such a nice car. Yes, I'm envious, and I check the used Tesla prices regularly. Do you think the first generation S models will drop down to a reasonable $20,000 in the next few years? Last question first. Probably not in the next couple of years. Right now they're at $40,000, $40,000 to $50,000 on the low end. I think it's going to be another 4 years, 3 to 4 years before it gets down to $20,000, to be quite honest. You may find a Model 3 at that $20,000 mark here in the next 2 or 3 years before you find a Model S that low. Next question, has my health suffered? This is actually a really interesting question. Turn this light here. This is an interesting question, and I think a really, really good one. No, my health hasn't really suffered. I'm not as active as I want to be, and that's just a matter of me making time. So I have gained a little bit of weight, but I mean, if you look at me here, I started off pretty thin, so it may just be me filling out in my late 30s and not so much me doing a lot of driving. But I am thinking quite a bit about trying to squeeze in some active time, which I know I should and need to do. Sung Ra, nice. I have a 2017 Model S 75 and rode 22,000 miles. When I fully charge, it only says I have range of 236 miles instead of 249. Any ideas on why? I would stay away from the vinyl wrap if you live in Colorado. Cool, thanks for the feedback. I see this posted a lot online. I followed up with another question just to kind of get some more clarification. I asked him what percentage he typically charged to and how many miles each day. He says he drives about 50 miles a day, and says 60% of the time he charges at the Tesla wall charger at home, other 40% of the time Supercharger, but he didn't say what the percentage is that he charges to for state of charge. So I find this often for people who don't drive a lot and who don't do a full state of charge. So, you know, whereas lately I've been doing 100% state of charge. Several weeks ago, I decided just to start charging to 90%. A lot of people recommend that you should only charge 80, 70, 80%. So if you charge to like 70, 80% and you don't drive a lot, I've seen this happen before. I don't think I know enough about batteries to really say. What I can speak from is my personal experience, and I drive a lot. I'm often doing a charge to 100% and drain really far down, and it seems to be pretty consistent. I haven't seen a whole lot of battery degradation. As I mentioned before, 4.5% battery degradation from when I got the car. Wally Lindberg, thanks for another question from you. You're one of my faithful watchers. Think you can get another 100,000 miles? I do. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have any major issues. It seems like those who kind of cross over into 100,000 miles and get close to 200,000 miles have some battery failure. So I'm hoping that I have that battery failure before the 8-year unlimited mile warranty is up. Tech Stuff asks, what is the feature that you don't want to drive without now in your Tesla? Also, is there something you wish Tesla would add that other automakers already have? You know, I don't know. Haven't driven enough cars to really say. You know what I wish Tesla had? I wish Tesla had a 400-500 mile range battery. That would be amazing. What feature do I not want to drive without. Now in my Tesla, the acceleration. I mean, that's probably my favorite thing about the Tesla is just the awesome acceleration. I mean, you drive anything else that's not electric, that's not Tesla, and it's just not the same. Ankit Bedi, first, can you tell us about all the maintenance costs that are associated going from 16,000 miles to 100,000? For example, buying washer brake fluid. I actually haven't, I think I may have bought washer fluid once, but my first year of ownership, I was in the service center enough that they topped it off every time I came in. Second, did you experience any battery degradation? I've already addressed that, 4.5%. Third, please talk about the repairs you had to do and if it was important to do those repairs. Yes, I did have to do some repairs. I took it into Tesla once a month for small things, really. And you can look at the video that I did where I summarized my 12 months of ownership. Also, how is the vehicle driving after you've done those repairs? I mean, good as expected. But take a look at the video that I did in September of 2017 where I do a summary of my first 12 months of ownership. And then Pat R, I'd be interested in if you've experienced any battery degradation. So a very popular question. People are very curious about how the battery is holding up. I mean, to kind of add to what I've already said in this video, the battery is holding up really, really well. For 100,000 miles, to have only lost 4.5%, I think is really, really great. And, you know, if I scale that out, let's say at 200,000 miles, I've lost 9%. You know, I'm still doing pretty good. I've still got more than 90% of my battery left in the Model S. So we'll see. Time will tell. I'll do another, hopefully, if the car is still around and I'm still driving it at 200,000 miles, I'll do another summary. So I think that addresses all the questions. Thanks so much. I really, really appreciate it. It's cool to get your feedback. And neat to see who all is watching my videos, because if you don't make a comment, I don't know who's watching them. So really appreciate the feedback, appreciate the questions, and thanks so much. I'll definitely see you on the next video. Maybe I'll do another one at 150,000 miles. So until then, talk to you soon.